All right, hey guys, I'm here today with a special guest, Coach Nick. Nick, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Yeah, sure, man. Thanks. First of all, I appreciate you having me here on your show and interviewing me and on your channel. You've got an incredible community, and I know tons of people following you from all over the globe. So I really appreciate the opportunity. As you mentioned, my name is Coach Nick. I help inspired entrepreneurs, healers, coaches from all over the globe to master the science of selling, so they can become a freedompreneur as well. And so, sometimes people ask, well, what does it mean to be a freedompreneur? And I define it as someone who's working when they want, where they want, whenever they want, with whoever they want, doing the thing they love to do. You're a freedompreneur. You're taking your knowledge, you're taking your own experience, your own story, how you've transformed your own life, and now you're helping thousands of other people do the same thing. And that's what I show people to do, is how to take their own stories, how to take their own transformations, their own inspired thoughts and ideas, and put a structure behind it, put a system behind it so that it generates income and it generates a cool lifestyle.
That's awesome. You help people create the life of their dreams, basically. Be unplugged from the matrix, be free, and not be a slave to 9 to 5 jobs anymore. That's super awesome.
Yeah, totally, man. I talk about freedom. My whole life has been about pursuing this word freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't, and I can't say, that I still even know exactly what it means. It's funny. I just was having lunch with a friend of mine, and he's known as the Naked Pastor. He's pastored different churches and such. He's, probably late 50s, 60s now. And he's got just a wealth of experience. And we were just having lunch, and, we were talking about, again, freedom, and all the different philosophies, whether it's Eastern philosophy or Western philosophy, Christian or whatever, it doesn't matter. And we were just talking about this idea of freedom and the pursuance of it. And I've been pursuing freedom my whole life. It's number one on my values list. But I didn't really know what it means, and I'm still discovering what it means, quite honestly, because I always think there's new levels to it. But ultimately, for most people on the planet, I think that they're going to look for freedom the way that I look for freedom at first, which was through material freedom. Material freedom I'll define as being a freedompreneur. It's like, unplugged from the system, the corporate structure, the big, sort of big corporate dominating structure that we have right now in our world, which is causing so many people to feel disconnected from nature, disconnected from themselves, and disconnected from their families as well, because we spend so much time. You think about how much time we spend apart from our families. Like, we spend all day at work. We spend all day doing whatever it is that we're doing, working to generate income. And then when we come home, many people, their lives are so occupied with stuff to do, things to do, more things to do, right? And so I like to show people that the technology is available for the first time ever, maybe ever in written history on our planet right now, where we can actually sustain a good income. In fact, we can have a fantastic income and use technology like the internet to leverage. That's never been before available for us, ever. So we're in a really cool position to find material freedom. And once we find some material freedom, it gives us this room then to explore, well, who am I? And what am I all about? What do I really like to do? And that's the second level of freedom, which I call the freedom of expression. I truly believe that God gave everyone some skills, some talent, some knowledge. There's some gifts that you have. There's some nature that you have that you can use in this world to benefit others, and the world will pay you well for it. When I say pay you, not just income, but by paying you through fulfillment, through joy, through experiences. There's so many ways to get incoming, right? Reciprocity. So really helping people find freedom of expression so that we can see a more beautiful world. If all artists in the world were actually empowered, think about the beauty of the world. If all scholars, people that were more scholarly, were empowered, think about the knowledge in the world. Think about people who, all the ability, talents, and gifts that is actually available to what we're tapping into, it's almost, you can't even fathom it if you really tap into the expression that is available. And then the third level of freedom that I essentially pursue in my life is spiritual freedom, realizing that we are soul, that we are not the body or mind, that we are not even our expressions, but we are pure consciousness. We're so vast and have so many dimensions to us, and really trying to explore what it means to be absolutely free, to be absolutely back in our original state of consciousness. And so the Freedompreneurs Club is there to facilitate that journey, whether you're, look, Nick, I just need to unplug from the matrix. I got to make more money. I got to generate more sales in my business, or not even I want to, like, this is what I want. Great. You can do it. And if you're looking for a deeper level of freedom, a level of freedom that truly just unbinds you and burns up the bullshit that you've been fed for so long by the world, then the club can also be that place for you.
Yeah, beautiful. That's powerful. I love the way you talk about the different levels of freedom. And what I see happening in the world is that we're going through this huge shift right now. There's definitely sort of an awakening happening in the world. People are becoming more conscious about their lifestyle and their connection with nature, and really their higher purpose in the world. And I think what we're seeing is that, entrepreneurs, the gift of the technology that we have now, of course it has its ups and downs, but the upside is that we can connect with more people. And I think really this new era of this new age we're in, we have the potential to do the work that is truly from our heart, the work that truly fulfills us and helps us to spread our light, spread our gifts with the world. And you're really helping people do that, through your work. And I just have the highest respect and admiration for you for that.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that very much.
Yeah. So let's get into the juicy stuff. Well, how have you seen sexual energy sort of tie into your business and your,
literally the juicy stuff? I wasn't thinking. Look, sex energy is, in the yogic tradition, is represented by Lord Brahma, and meaning passion, right? Literally, sex energy is what made this material universe, right? We have manifestation and creation. Why is the flowers beautiful, and why does one flower, don't really, I'm using this as you have to take it in context, but why does one flower try to outdo another flower? Let's say, look at me, I'm more vibrant than him, right? It's sex, right? It's all, it comes down to sex, right? Why do we want, a lot of people don't realize that so much of their desire comes down to wanting to be attractive, right? Wanting to be attractive on many different levels. So when you become conscious of your sex energy and how to use it, it's like wielding a power that has always been there for you, but no one taught you how to use it. It's kind of like someone gave you a Ferrari, but but in your head, you're like, oh, I'm just driving my horse and cart, right? So most of us are driving our horse or cart in life, and we're like, just feeling every bump of the road. We're just like, oh gosh, this is a painful ride. Life is a painful ride. I don't realize that actually we're sitting in a Ferrari, but we treat it like we're sitting in a horse and cart. For most people, because they're treating their body like a horse and cart, they never reach the full capacity of that body. They never really see what this body is capable of. When someone learns to use their sex energy and learns to empower themselves through their sex energy, they realize that they're sitting in a Ferrari and they can go many, many places really quickly if they'd like.
Yeah, totally. And at the same time, that sex energy, it's kind of like sitting in that horse carriage, right? It's kind of like a wild horse at the same time. It can kind of, when people are unable to control it, which most people in this world, it's unconscious. It's just driving them around like this wild horse, it's just dragging them around. So once you're able to harness that power, you have that incredible force of sexual energy to work with. And this can really, in my experience working with business, being an entrepreneur, it can really help you have that edge in your creativity, your influence over others, because that sexual energy is so magnetic. Have you found this to be true as well?
Oh, 100%. I mean, it's like, it's mind blowing almost. You kind of start to, you have to really make sure that you're in a real place of service, because I think it can be easy to come like very egotistical, or like feel like, oh wow, I have all this power, because we really do. And look, this is something, I know you talk about this. Napoleon Hill talked about it in Think and Grow Rich. This was the secret of King Solomon. This is the secret of all great, yogis and mystics. And it was the secret of Winston Churchill. Winston Churchill was asked, you've spent your life, in politics, leadership, like you've pretty much made your life running a country, right? How can you do it? And his answer was, I never spent my time chasing women. He
Mm.
said, well, everybody else, all the politicians on the Hill, are involved with many activities. He was just involved with one activity, right? For his business was running the country and doing his thing. And he said, I have a wife and I stick with my wife, and that's it. And this knowledge has been passed down for thousands and thousands of years, but it doesn't seem to hit home with the mainstream. And I don't think it hits home with the mainstream. One, because of education. That's why I have tremendous admiration for what you're doing, because it's one, I think that there's a lot of miseducation about sex energy, and what we're really, different ways it can be used. And also, I truly believe that there are certain people in this world, or certain powers in this world, that don't want the population that empowered. They want you to buy into everything that they want to sell you. And if your sex energy is in control, you'll be a consumer. You won't be a creator. You'll be a consumer, and you'll just end up, you work to buy. This is how most people live. They work to buy. They work, they buy, they work, they buy, they work, they buy, trying to get some pleasure out of that. So sex energy has some basic expressions. One being physical sex. That's the most, raw form of that expression, the most material form, or bodily form of that expression. But also, sex energy is what's fueling big buildings and skyscrapers and art, and it fuels everything. Everything that you see on this planet is fueled by sex energy. For those who become conscious of it, they can then begin to wield it. You mentioned the horse, the wild horse, being out of control. And most people are out of control. That's why they buy. That's why they work to. They live to consume. They don't realize that they're out of control. They don't realize that their impulses, their deep bodily animal impulses, are what's driving the show. And as soon as you become aware of that and begin to transmute that, transform that into a higher levels of expression, you're going to seem superhuman compared to those around you. But you're going to be like, I don't get it. It's not really like superhuman. It's actually available for everyone. But you're just going to seem that way compared to the average individual.
Yeah, totally. And and a big thing as well is, like, you talk about this people who are born to consume, and it's like we're always reaching out to the outside world, trying to fulfill ourselves, with all this false identity, all these things like, oh, if I buy this product, then I'll have this identity and I'll be fulfilled because other people respect me. But the more you reach out to the world, the more empty you become. So really, for me, through my Qigong practice, my meditation practice, and I'm sure for you, from your spiritual practice as well, what you learn is that everything you need is within yourself. And once you can tap into that, then instead of reaching to the world to take energy from around you, you're actually giving back to the world. You're overflowing with energy. And I think that that's an important thing for any human to understand and work with.
Totally. I think that we misunderstand a lot of spiritual teachings, because they're generally taught by non-practitioners. Somebody reads a book, they go, oh, okay, I think I get it. And then they'll hop on video, and then they'll chat about it. And because it sounds flowery or there sounds good, it's like, oh, well, that makes sense. But actually, we should be learning spiritual principles from practitioners. We should be learning from people who are actually in practice, because their experience of it will be generally very practical. where I find that when people aren't in practice, they go very, very like out here because it sounds good. It sounds very like, wow, that's so enlightened. But actually it's like, bring it right down to here and now, and make it very practical. And to me, it comes down to, it's really actually simple. Like, the body is a reflection of our consciousness. Our mind is the steering wheel to the body, right? If your body, your senses are out of control, as you mentioned, then you're essentially an animal, because what you're saying is you're living completely by instinct. That's how most people are living. That's why they're consistently consuming, because the body only has, well, maybe two things that it's looking for. It's looking to reproduce itself and survive. So hence, what are most people's activities? They can fall under 4 categories. Eating, we're all going to eat. We're all going to sleep. We're all going to mate, right, or reproduce, or we're going to defend. These are the 4 activities of the body. You could see that the animals also do these 4 activities. They eat, they sleep, they defend, and they mate. We do these 4 activities as well. Except in the human body, we have the potential to engage in other activities. We can worship, we can create, we can inquire. This is the biggest, I think, one of the biggest assets to the human form is we can inquire. Well, many people are inquiring. Inquisition, inquiring is natural. It's a natural desire. But most people are inquiring about how they can eat, sleep, defend, and mate better. That's what they're inquiring about, right? They're like, so actually they think they're advancing. They may even think they're advancing spiritually. That's this like new age kind of philosophy too, because it sounds nice. It's like, hey, do what you want. It's the freedompreneurs, right? Do what you want, when you want, wherever you want, right? It's kind of the same thing that I'm saying. So you might be like, well, isn't that a little hypocritical? Yes, in one sense, but I'm asking you to inquire deeper than that. What are most people inquiring about? How can I look better? How can I make more money? How can I do these things? Not saying these things are bad. Just saying this is all under material category of eating, sleeping, defending, and mating. But you can also inquire, who am I? Why am I here? Why is my life the way it is? That was my inquiry. Why am I the way I am? Why, for me, that came through suffering, right? Why do I consistently make decisions that I know are good for me, but yet I make them and then I suffer that. Then I suffer through them, right? So one of the things I know you talk about is like porn, right? Porn addiction, right? So, I mean, you ask any honest person, hey, do you think that, overindulgence in porn is bad or is not good for you, right? It's not a moralistic conversation, bad or good, I'll leave your morals to you. But is it beneficial for you to spank off the porn every day, right? Most guys would be like, no, we know that that's not good. So why is it that we do it, right? As one example. So I inquired this about myself. I really, years ago, I started to ask these questions. And in the particular lineage of yoga that I practice, our spiritual master would say, that's actually when human life begins. Human life begins when someone asks, why are they suffering? But the first thing they have to recognize is that they are suffering. Most people don't realize that they're suffering because they've just accepted suffering as normal. So they don't even know what it is to be happy. You ask most people, hey, are you happy? They'll say, yeah, even though you can clearly see on their face, like, you ever seen a happy person? Right? Yeah. Have you ever looked in the mirror? Do you see happiness looking back at you? Right? The reality for most of us is no. But yet we don't even realize it because it's so rare to actually find someone who has found any iota of actual genuine happiness that isn't caused by some external circumstance.
Mm.
As soon as we start to inquire about our true nature, then we can inquire about what is real freedom, what is real happiness, what is real. Just simply that. What is real in my life? Is it this status that I have? I'm a freedompreneur. So what? And what if tomorrow the internet shut down? Then what?
Mm.
What that means I would be like, well, who am I now, right? So if you could see that we've all been many different things in our life, just think about your life from high school to watching this video, right? If in whatever time period might be in between, I bet you there's things about you that have changed, transformed, beliefs that you have that are different now. This is always happening. So all of that is impermanent. So the question becomes, what is actually real? Real defined as what is permanent. What is actually permanent? And you'll see that no matter what religious background, no matter what practice, everybody who attains the answer to that always attains the same answer. Oh, what is permanent is what we'll call the spiritual part of us. It's whether you call it soul or spirit or energy or vibe or consciousness. It's that element within us that is internal. It's why someone can be in their 80s, but they're like, man, I feel like I'm 20. I don't feel like I'm 80, because you're not. You're actually, your body is 80, but you are not your body. This realization totally transforms everything. It's like turns the world like upside down, or right side up, depending on what side of the coin you're looking at. And from that space, you now have a real opportunity to not only achieve material success, but achieve success holistically, which is to realize yourself as a soul.
Mm. Powerful wisdom.
I've read a lot of good books.
Yeah. And it's really, it's like when you know that everything changes, and at some point you have to let go of everything. So it's like, well, what's real? What have you really accumulated? Because at the end of your life, when you're, sitting in bed about to die, does the money you have, the cars you've bought, do any of these things really matter? What's real? What are you actually accumulating? So this is what those of us who look a bit deeper are really striving to attain.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like we're actually trying to attain something that is real, because at some level we've recognized that all of this is unreal. Now, it doesn't mean that it isn't important or doesn't have value, and it doesn't mean that you have to run off now and renounce and become a naked Bubba and live in the Ganges or something like this, unless that's what you want to do, have at it, right? But it simply means that you can become free in this life, where you can go, oh, I have actual choice, but I'm not exercising it. And why am I not exercising it? It always comes down to some fear, some fear, what is mom going to think of me? What is Auntie Susie's opinion going to be? Most of us, I know people in their 50s, their 60s, their 70s, and they're still running their life based upon what Auntie Susie thinks. Like Auntie Susie, who cares what Auntie Susie thinks? Like, Auntie Susie's Auntie Susie. Let Auntie Susie be Auntie Susie. Just because she's Auntie Susie doesn't mean her opinion runs your life. But at such a subtle level, most of us are run. And I put my hand up and say, me too. That's why I'm like, I always never say like I'm somebody like some guru or something. It's just the aspiration, just to pursue and to take this seriously, of going, what actually runs my life? Is it me, or is it Auntie Susie, who when I was 4 years old at the dinner table told me that I was ugly, and now I'm trying to pursue beauty in all the wrong ways because Auntie Susie, who she herself can't accept herself, projected that onto you. Mm. Right? And this is not to go and turn around and cuss off Auntie Susie, right? Right? Just let Auntie Susie be. Let people be. Let everybody be. And actually, as you let everyone else be, you will be.
Mm.
Or you can look at it this way: the more you become just you, then the less you feel this hankering to always be pursuing that, whether it's the next level in your career, the next level, it's the next drug, it's the next level of career, it's the next weekend. It's, for most people, it's never now.
Mm.
It's always the next, because it's difficult. Anybody who's truly pursuing the real path of freedom, spiritual freedom, will tell you it is very difficult to put the mind at rest and just be present and trust fully that it's all going to work out beautifully. It's because we're not taught that. No, we're not taught that. And that's actually why we feel so entrapped. Our system is designed to make you an employee. It's designed to make you a cog in the wheel. And when actually, you're so much more. Like, you're so much more than a job or some even a business or something. I help people, become freedompreneurs. But one thing that makes me different than most business coaches out there is I actually will tell you that your business isn't the most important part of your life. Where most business coaches would like tell you that you have to make your business the absolute priority number one. Right? This is what it's all about. You will find it through your business. And I'm actually telling you, as a business coach, no, you won't. Let's build a business to free yourself up and to take care of the practical necessities of life and have some fun. You want to travel, or you want to build something, or I don't know, whatever it is you want to do. Great, go ahead, do it. So let's build a business. Let's do it. But is that the most important thing in your life? I don't think so. I haven't found that my business is the most important thing in my life. In fact, the more that I grow, it's almost like the less and less it's there. It's successful. I'm going to continue to grow it. I'm going to continue to make it successful. But it seems like the less attached I am to it, the more successful it becomes. That's kind of the oxymoron, right? That's a little bit of the paradox, right? Is actually the less I am attached to it, the less I need it to be successful, the more I actually just, my intelligence can take over. Intelligence, the difference between intelligence and mind is basically the discriminatory factor. Like, a simple example is the apple and cake. I know in my intelligence that the apple is a better choice than the cake, but the mind, which is seated in the body and mind are one, is only after instant pleasure. So therefore, it'll choose the cake. But my intelligence knows that the apple is the better choice. The less attached we become to, or the more that we can transmute our sex energy, the more that we can empower or let our expression fulfill itself or be expressed in higher ways, then the more we sit in intelligence. Therefore, the body and mind can't control us, and therefore we will, almost 95% of negative situations can easily be avoided through simple intelligence.
Yes. So let's talk a little bit about semen retention.
Sure.
You've been practicing semen retention recently as well, right?
Yes.
What are some of the changes you have noticed in your life from practicing this?
Well, the most noticeable is my beard.
Yeah.
When I first started practicing, I didn't have a beard. Now I have a beard. So that's one. So on the physical levels, okay. So we'll talk about it kind of on those same levels we've been talking about so far. On the physical level, there's easily more energy, stronger, sharper awareness. Just way more energy. More powerful energy too. Like, when I say powerful, meaning that energy can be used in the workout room or on the yoga mat or whatever it is that you're doing in that way. You're just simply a stronger, more vibrant body, right? Your body is actually more vibrant, right? And so you have a lot more energy. This has helped me reduce my sleep. So generally, my sleep has been reduced, but my energy is up. Even food consumption has gone down, but my energy is up, right? So it's like I don't find that I need to get my energy from food as much. So less consumption, more self-sustained energy. On a creative level, it just totally fuels creativity, because sex energy is literally creative energy. It literally makes babies, right? This is what, so when it's transmuted and it's held within the body, then it's going to find different ways to express itself, and you'll find that your creativity will skyrocket. So that therefore solutions to problems will come easy for you. It doesn't mean you won't have problems, but they'll seem minuscule because you'll have many solutions for them. Your business endeavors or artistic endeavors, or however it is, athletic endeavors, whatever it is that you're pursuing in your life, or you're expressing yourself here in this lifetime, will be amplified. And then ultimately, on a spiritual level, you're achieving the most sex energy is what drives us all. So if you can control it, you can be situated in the soul. You can be situated in the soul because this is the practice of brahmachari in the yogic or Indian philosophy. The reason the practice of brahmachari is there to be fully in control of your senses, to be fully in control of your body and mind. And once you've achieved levels of body and mind control within yourself, then it's easy to realize yourself as a soul, because you realize that you can't be the body or mind if you're controlling it.
Yeah.
There's some, right? I can't be the car and control the car. I have to actually, I sit in the car, but I am not the car. I can get up and get out the car. If the car breaks down, I get up, I get out, right? So similarly, when you are controlled in the body and mind, you realize I am not the body or mind because I can control it. And depending how far you go, you can get up and get out of it too.
Yeah. So Nick and I have been working together since the beginning of the year. Nick's been teaching me business and sales, and I've been teaching Nick sexual kung fu. And yeah, I've just seen the changes happen in you. This work has definitely made you more, I would say it's made you more in touch with your masculine power. You just have a lot more of that masculine charge. You grew a beard, and you're just much more vibrant and bold in your work. So I love it. It's cool to see the changes happen from you with this incredible work.
Well, yeah, thank you. I mean, and all credit where credit's due to you for teaching it, and teaching it in a way. One thing that I really, because as you know, I was looking for this knowledge. This is something that I've read about, I've studied, I've heard about, and I intuitively understood its power. But one thing that you do that's very different than most people in most fields is you don't just talk about it, but you actually have a practice. Say, here's how to transmute it. Here's actually how to work with it. Here's how to use it, right? And there's a huge difference than just like reading Napoleon Hill that says, sexual transmutation is the secret. Okay, great, that's the secret. But how do you do it, right? How do you do it when, for most of us, we've grown up in a life that is all about expressing ourselves only in a physical way. Like, I know we've talked a lot about this, and you talk a lot about this. Like, most of us grew up where porn was our education to sex.
Absolutely.
So that's all. So that's what we know as sex, right? And so therefore, how do we then now totally rewire ourselves to think about sex in a spiritual way, as a way to energize ourselves, as a way to fuel our dreams and our desires of greater aspirations? It's a total transformation. And yeah, it does. It's made me more vibrant, and it's definitely made me more bold. One thing is, I care less about what other people have to say, which is a total new level of freedom. Going back to that levels of freedom, right? It's just like, when you're sitting in your own power, what else do you want? Like, you're good. You're good. I'm good.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned so many people talking about this, but not having a practice to share. That's something I encountered, for years and years. I was I knew there was something more to sex and sexual energy, and I was trying to figure out how to integrate it into my spiritual path because I was doing yoga, I was doing meditation, but sex was still like this very low level thing for me that, was still draining me. And so
Right.
I read all these books, they talk about it, Tantra and this sexual transmutation. It's like, okay, well, how do you actually do it? And then I, finally after years learned how to do it, learned the practices, and became very passionate about sharing these because, one of my teachers says, talk does not cook the rice. So in the end, you can talk about the stuff all day, but if you don't have a practice to embody it, you're not going anywhere with it.
I was sitting in the temple and my guru, Bhaktimarga Swami, walks in. There was a room there that, I was doing some reading and I was asking him a bunch of these philosophical questions. And he said the exact same thing to me. I got the same advice. He said, look, Nick, you can read all day long, right? But unless you practice, you won't really get the essence. You have to engage in the practice. Only when you engage in the practice will you actually, those words come to life in a whole new way.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I stopped being a philosopher and started being a practitioner.
Yes.
And I realized that, the real juice is yes, the philosophy, the knowledge. Yes, of course, you should understand the philosophy, you should understand the knowledge, but the real honey is opening up the honey jar, sticking your fingers in there, and eating, like practice. It's in the sadhana that it all happens, and we all need some practice. And our society, at least Western society, I should say, is going so far away. All we do is work. We do all we do is work, and then try to forget work on the weekends, right? So we basically work to try to forget it.
Drink a beer, get home, drink a beer, smoke a joint, whatever.
Totally, yeah. Whatever your deal is, it's all about work, then try to forget work to go back to work.
Yep.
There's no way to live. But spiritual life means to integrate life. It means to live everything very present. You're not trying to forget any moment of it because you want to be present with it. You want to interact with it. You want to be with it, feel it, absorb it. This is an expression of love. It's an expression, it's a dance, and so when you begin to dance with life, then you can move through all different types of situations, and all through both ups and downs and all that kind of stuff. You'll be able to move through life with situated in a very peaceful way. At worst case scenario, you'd be very peaceful. Best case scenario, you're just going to be ecstatic and the life of the party. Because not because you've overdrank, but because your spirit is just exuding this effulgence, this light, this vibration.
Yeah, definitely. And I just want to share something that I've really enjoyed, working with you, Nick, is that I was looking for a business coach, and it was very synchronistic because you came out, you reached out to me looking for, training in sexual Kung Fu. And so what really resonated with me about your work was that, sales can be, and business, it can be a really kind of sleazy thing, and I wasn't really wanting to do the more, take that route. And you really made me see the value of my work and really made me understand that sales is about helping people understand what your value is and the value it will have in their life, because everyone's going to be spending their money on, probably bullshit anyway. So why not, help them see that it would be a wise choice to invest themselves in something that will actually benefit them. So that's been a huge takeaway for me from working with you. And I cannot speak highly enough about your work. Highest respect for everything you do. Why don't you want to share a little bit about some of the programs you offer and how people can find you?
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate it. So the best way is to go to coachnickspeaks.com and you can learn about the different programs. I run it's a very simple system. I have something called the Freedompreneurs Club, and as a club member, you get access to all kinds of trainings. There's over 53 classes plus workshops that you can have access to, and a whole support system that you interact with me directly. It's not like one of those things where they're like, oh yeah, come do my training course, and then you never hear from the trainer again, right? No, I'm there interacting within the community every day, helping and supporting. And then, of course, I offer one-on-one coaching for those who want to take it to that level. So I can, I can send you some links and such if that's okay, and you could share with the community here if it makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah, I'll definitely put your links in the description of this video. Yeah, I highly recommend Nick's
Perfect.
training. Really great stuff. Yeah, just want to thank you, Nick. Thank you for taking the time talking to me today. It's been a great conversation. Always great hanging out with you.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it very much.
All right, we'll talk soon. All right, have a great day, Nick.
Thanks.
Later.